Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video by yours truly. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I say this to my Twitch chat every time I go live because there's various people from all around the world that watch content on Twitch and YouTube. Anyways, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Is anybody else still thinking about that trailer last night, Black Swan and Acheron, and the whole entire spectacle there was to behold between, the dance, the waltz, the tango, whatever you want to call it? I can't get that damn trailer out of my head. It was truly a phenomenal trailer. My God. Anyways, I want to talk to you guys about the kit reveal of Acheron. We're going to be going over it and breaking it down in a palatable manner. As you know, a lot of these kits can be like overly complex with regards to descriptions. They can be a bit confusing, long-winded, and it can make you reluctant to continue reading them. And you're just like, who cares? That's what you got me here for, and other content creators here for, to make it easier for you to digest and comprehend. So let's go ahead and get into it and walk you through it. We're also going to be going over her light cone and the value of it and all that jazz. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, starting off with trace number 1, we have Red Oni, related ability, atop rain leaf hangs oneness. Why does this remind me of Gojo's line, I alone am the honored one? Anyways, when battle starts, you immediately gain a certain number of slash dream. Let's just stop right there. Slash dream is essentially Acheron's energy recharge, right? Replace energy recharge with slash dream, and that's what Acheron's slash dream is. So when battle starts, you immediately gain a certain number of slash dream. You immediately start off with some energy recharge and applies a certain number of Crimson Knot stacks to a random enemy. What the hell is a Crimson Knot stack? It's essentially a debuff that Acheron applies to the enemies, and this debuff does absolutely nothing until you pop her ult. Once you pop her ult, that's where the value of the Crimson Knots comes into play. We'll be sure to readdress that when it pops up again, okay? When Slash Dream reaches its upper limit, when it reaches the maximum threshold, Slash Dream, 9 stacks, you get to pop her ult. I don't know why I put up a 5. When you reach 9 stacks of Slash Dream, you get to use Acheron's ultimate. So when it says when Slash Dream reaches upper limit, it's basically saying when you hit the maximum threshold. For every point of Slash Dream that exceeds that 9 stack limit, you gain 1 stack of quadrivalent ascendants up to a max number of quadrivalent ascendant stacks. So they kept it vague, but hypothetically speaking, let's say you start off with anywhere from 2 to 4 stacks after using her ultimate. So let's say you fill up the 9 stacks, right? And then you apply 4 more debuffs after her ult already at the maximum threshold. If it's anywhere from 2 to 4 quadrivalent ascendants, that means after you use her ult, you're going to start off with those stacks. So essentially you get to store a couple more stacks past the maximum threshold that will carry on to the next fight. Let's go back to the energy recharge explanation. When you pop any DPS's ult, imagine instead of starting at 5 energy, they start off at 30 energy or 40 energy. You just used their ult and now they're already back to 30 or 40 energy, right? So that's incredibly valuable. That's why this trace is good. The other good thing about storing stacks is maybe you haven't inflicted the proper debuffs that you needed to apply so that you can get the maximum damage out of Acheron's ult. So you fill her ult up, right? Oh, but you still got an ult with Pella, or you still got a ult with Black Swan or Kafka or Welt. You can then use their ultimates, apply the extra debuffs so that you get maximum damage, pop her ult, and now you have those stacks still reserved, boosting her Slash Dream ultimate recharge for, going into the battle. That's massive, because a lot of this is gonna tie into 1 turn ultimate and then setting you up for the next ultimate either in that same cycle or the next cycle. So I know that's long-winded, but this is a massive value from her traces. A lot of people also, you know what, I'm not gonna be an asshole. Yes, I am. Morons who can't comprehend any of this, they're just going to write this off as Acheron sucks. That's how Redditors theory craft. They're just like, oh, I don't know what that does. I guess she sucks. Yeah, Acheron sucks. She's mid, man. It's like, all right, bro. When there are 1 or 2 Nihility characters other than Acheron in the team, the damage dealt by Acheron's entire kit, entire kit, additionally increases by a certain amount. Okay, so 1 Nihility unit, boom, damage bonus. 2 Nihility units, boom, damage bonus. So this is an incentive to run 2 Nihility units with Acheron. Now, based off of this trace alone, one can imply that 2 Nihility units is going to be the best composition in the game to run with a Acheron. However, just because it incentivizes you to do that doesn't mean that's necessarily the case, because of units like Ruan Mei and Sparkle. Now, I personally believe the multiplier that they're giving for you to run 2 Nihility units is gonna make her have the best comp in the game next to 2 Nihility units. But there's also the chance that people like Ruan Mei and Sparkle, because they're so broken in what they're capable of doing, like turn manipulation, all type pet, res penetration, weakness break efficiency, you name it. There's still a chance that you can run 1 Nihility unit, 1 Harmony unit, and it outperforms the 2 Nihility unit incentive. There is a chance that that could happen, and it's worth mentioning. But who knows? When they come out, we'll be testing all that shit and having a lot of fun. And then, of course, we share the information with the community. I am personally going to be running over 2 Nihility units and another probably singular Harmony unit like Ruan Mei, or when I pick up Aventurine, he'll be my sustainer just to have fun. But yeah, the whole entire incentive of that is basically what I just explained to you. Thunder Core, the final trace. When the Rain Blade from Acheron's ult hits enemy targets with Crimson Knot, her damage increases. Remember when I told you we're gonna come back to Crimson Knot? So when you put Crimson Knot stacks on enemies' heads and you pop her ult, those stacks now give you a damage bonus based off of how many stacks are on the unit's head. It's gonna stack up to a max number of times. The damage bonus it provides can stack. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, the damage bonus is 40%. It's not, it literally isn't. Don't take my word on that. But if it's 40% and it stacks up to 3 times, that means she has 120% damage bonus lasting for a certain number of turns. Let's say it lasts for 3 turns. You have 120% damage bonus that lasts for 3 turns after using her ult. So her ult literally gives her a damage bonus thanks to this trace. That's the best way for me to explain that to you. Continuing on, when Stygian Resurge triggers, additionally deals a certain number of times. What the f is a Stygian Resurge? It's the last hit on her ultimate. That's all it is. Don't let the fancy wording fool you. It's just the last hit on her ultimate. By the way, is anybody Monster Hunter fans thinking of Stygian Zinogre when you read that? Because that's the first thing that went to my head. Continuing on, it additionally is going to deal a certain number of ticks additionally. So Stygian Resurge does its damage when she uses her ult, but when you unlock this trace, it does even more ticks. Basically, it just makes it stronger. That's it. Each time deals lightning damage equal and is viewed as part of the ult damage. This wording right here, it's viewed as part of the ultimate damage, is important because of one, this trace right here says her ult increases when you have 2 Nihility characters. That means this is also going to receive that damage increase. When you put anything on her like Inert Salsada, that gives it ultimate damage bonus. That's going to apply to this trace as well. So that's why that wording is very important. Overall, this last trace is just essentially telling you, use her ult, you're going to get a damage bonus that's going to make her stronger for a certain number of turns, and her Stygian Resurge, which is the last hit on her ult, is going to tick even more times. That's pretty much what that last one does. Okay, let's go ahead and look at this real quick. Guys, right now we're in the middle of getting double trace bonuses. Make sure you're spamming the domain or whatever the hell you want to call it that's given this particular material. This is what you need to ascend her traces. Spam the shit out of this every day I wake up this week. I've been spamming that so that as soon as she comes out, I have the appropriate traces to level up my Acheron. All right, moving on. That's her idle animation. Don't give a damn. Technique. All right, so we already know her technique. The biggest broken part about it is that it obliterates trash mobs, right? So you just get rid of the trash mobs around the simulated universe, around the open world, yada, yada, yada. We know this already, but there's 2 more important things about the technique. One, at the start of every wave, gains quadrivalent ascendance at the start of every wave. Okay, that's important to know. We'll come back to it. Deals lightning damage to all enemies and reduced toughness of all enemies, irrespective of weakness type. So just like Silverwolf, when you open up a elite fight with her, no matter what their weakness is, she's going to contribute to their toughness break, which is nice. She also deals damage to every single enemy. With her signature light cone, that can be a debuff off rip from Acheron. It could, because the same thing happens when you go into battle with Pella and pop her talent, or Silverwolf and you pop her talent. Same thing works that way. So there's a possibility, it's not guaranteed, but there's a possibility that with her light cone, you can go into battle applying a debuff off rip with this attack. But the other thing that's important is the gains quadrivalent ascendance at the start of every wave. This is massive. Let's read it. Quadrivalent Ascendance, Acheron obtains 1 point of Slash Dream after she uses her ultimate and applies 1 stack of Crimson Knot on a random enemy. Let's go back to that 9 stack threshold. Why the fuck am I putting up 6? What, bro? What are you doing, brother? This is 9. Holy, you okay? 9 stacks of Slash Dream and you can use Acheron's ultimate, right? Whatever in her kit shortens that mission to get to 9 stacks is essentially a energy recharge. It's a battery, right? So this gives you 1 additional point every time you use her ult. You get 1 additional point back. Remember the very first trace that says you can store up to a number of stacks as well? So imagine this point plus that additional stored points, you could potentially have damn near 50% energy recharge back after using Acheron's ult. This sets this character up to spam her ult potentially like twice per cycle. That's disgusting because her multipliers already look really nice. Not to mention, she's the kind of unit that can be ran next to Black Swan, who also deals very respectable damage. Kafka does very respectable damage. Welt does very respectable damage. You get where I'm going with this? So like, this is a scary perk on a kit. And that's why you have to pay close attention to the details, because not having regular energy recharge and instead having a stack threshold enables people to like kind of cheat the system and ult more times, because there's so many ways to inflict the debuff. Essentially, quadrivalent ascendance is very freaking important, okay? Because you can do it on every wave. Basic attack. We got deals lightning damage to a single enemy. There's some situations where I can see you using her basic attack, but for the most part, you're gonna spam her skill, honestly. She's a skill spammer because guess what? Oh, we didn't even get to the skill yet. Well, the skill gives a slash point as well. Every time you use it, she gets another slash point. Energy recharge, basically. Okay, so talent. Let's move on to the talent. When Slash Dream reaches its upper limit, the ultimate can be activated. I already told this to y'all. During the ultimate, reduce enemy toughness regardless of weakness type and reduce all enemies all type res, lasting till the end of the ultimate. Okay, so this is massive. One of the most valuable things about Ruan Mei is she does the literal same thing. All type res pin as soon as you pop her ult, meaning if the enemies have a weakness to your element by 20%, that has now been shredded and they don't have any resistance towards the element. Acheron has the same thing, which means if you run her and Ruan Mei on the same team, that all type res pin is bigger. And I told y'all in the past, if you're a newer viewer, you may not know this, but all type res pin, once their resistance goes into the negative, the scaling is 100%. Whereas in Genshin Impact, it gets reduced in half. The multiplier remains 100% scaling, meaning if they have a negative 25% resistance to your element, that's a 25% multiplicative damage bonus. Whereas in Genshin Impact, it's 25 divided by 2. It gets cut in half, not in a star rail. That's not how it works. So that's a big damage bonus that's separate from all the additive crit damage and defensive shred multipliers. A whole nother separate multiplier. Very strong. When any unit on the field, friend or foe, inflicts debuffs on an enemy target while using their ability, Acheron gains 1 point of Slash Dream and inflicts 1 stack of Crimson Knot. Before we even continue, actually we can read the next part too. If debuffs are inflicted on multiple targets, then the 1 stack of Crimson Knot will be inflicted on the enemy target with the most Crimson Knot stacks. So there's something important here. This effect can only trigger once per every ability usage. There's a lot of details in there. All you need to know is if you do an AoE like Pella can put a debuff on everyone's head. You're not gonna get 1 point slash per person, right? You're gonna get 1 slash and then a Crimson Knot 1 time. So it's not like you can stack that shit if somebody's doing multiple debuffs at once. That's the one important thing to take note of. But the other important thing to take note of is each unit can apply a freaking debuff and give her a stack. So this off rip tells me that you want Acheron to be last in rotation so that you apply debuff, 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 and then she goes debuff, right? So at the bare minimum, if you run your team, right, you can get 4 stacks with pretty much any team with 2 nihilities and a sustain or extra unit that can also inflict a debuff. You can get 4 stacks off rip, which is gonna set you up for a 1-turn ult for sure. I guarantee you it's gonna set you up for a 1-turn ult. But I think you also want to look out because it says once per every ability usage. So you wanna look out for characters like Black Swan and Silverwolf who can apply debuffs outside of their turn. Those characters are even gonna battery Acheron up further. Kafka's another one. Follow-up attack, puts a lightning dot on somebody's head, can re-trigger dots as well, like pop her ult and then put lightning dot on people's heads. The units that can apply debuffs without even it being their turn, that is another unit you cannot sleep on. Ruan Mei can do it as well. When you pop her ult, she puts that freaking flower on their heads. But these kind of units are going to cheat the system and battery the hell out of Acheron while simultaneously inflicting debuffs on enemies. This is probably, again, the scariest thing about this character's kit as a DPS. And this is also why you should listen to the content creators who obsessively play this game and do their due diligence, because we actually do know what we're talking about, despite the Redditor nerds who wish they were in our position. But since they're not, they'd rather try and discredit us on Reddit all the time. I'm always gonna throw shade at them, fuck them. All right, anyways, that's the important to know. When Acheron's on the battlefield, when an enemy target leaves, right? If you obliterate them, send them to the Shadow Realm, or any unit is defeated, their Crimson Knot stacks will be transferred to the enemy with the most Crimson Knot left on the battlefield. So that's nice. So it just goes over to the other target. It's nice. That's like, dude, holy hell, that reminds me of Diablo when you kill a mob and then the poison transfers over to another mob. That's actually pretty cool. Okay, so gains 1 point of Slash Dream, inflicts 1 stack of Crimson Knot on a single target enemy. So you get to decide who you want to put that Crimson Knot dot on. And this is very important because ideally you probably want to put that on the strongest unit on the team or on the enemy team so that they keep receiving the dots anytime you do any AoE debuff inflicts. The other thing that's important to know about the skill is that it hits 3 targets. Again, if you have Signature Light Cone, you can inflict a debuff on 3 targets at once. That's something that's important to take note of as well. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to know about her skill. There's nothing else to talk about. Ultimate, here we go. Delivers 3 Rain Blades and 1 Stygian Resurge in succession. And you can, I'll go ahead and show you 1, 2, 3, and then here's the Stygian Resurge, 4, right? So you got 3 Rain Blades and 1 Stygian Resurge. Enemies cannot be inflicted with Crimson Knot while the ultimate is active, so don't think you can like simultaneously stack Crimson Knot while using her ult. That's not how that works. It's too broken. Deals lightning damage to a single target enemy and removes up to 3 stacks of Crimson Knot from the target. Remember, this is where Crimson Knot. So all those stacks is down to this one moment. When you do a Rain Blade, you're gonna remove up to 3 stacks of the Crimson Knot. And in the process of doing that, you're going to deal lightning damage to all enemies with the additional damage multiplier for this being increased for every Crimson Knot stack removed. And you get the damage bonus from the traces. So now you get to see the value of Crimson Knot. You put all those stacks on all these enemies, and then finally when you use her ult, you're going to take those stacks off of them in like a detonate kind of manner, dealing more damage and increasing the damage of your ult as well. The damage multiplier has a maximum limit. They haven't revealed the numbers, so we can't talk about it. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. And there's like, you don't really need to know the details. Just get Crimson Knot stacks as much as possible, 9 ideally, right? And then you pop her ult and just watch the magic happen. Deals lightning damage to all enemies and removes all Crimson Knots. So once you use our ult, all the knots get thrown in the trash. We rinse and repeat, and we start putting more knots on their head. So the name of the game is very simple. You inflict debuffs, you get slash point dreams, and you inflict a Crimson Knot on an enemy's head. Use her skill and target a enemy you want to put even more of those stacks on. You kill enemies, their Crimson Knots then go on to that one enemy. Now that one enemy has 9 stacks, you pop her ult, send his ass over there with Duke Inferno. All right, that was pretty long-winded. That's pretty much everything. Yeah, let's go ahead and go over to the light cone. I'm just gonna keep it a stack with y'all. This light cone is one of those light cones. It's hard to tell you to not pull on it because it's pretty much the only light cone apart from, and I'm not talking about other limited light cones. I'm not gonna give you like an analysis based off of how many other limited Nihility light cones you have. But this light cone, the biggest benefit of it is this right here. This effect can be triggered 1 time against each target for every attack the wearer launches. So she essentially inflicts a debuff called Empty Bubbles on the enemy, and it lasts for 1 turn. Now you'll notice the wearer deals 24% more damage to targets afflicted with Empty Bubble, and damage from the wearer's ult is additionally increased by 24%. These might not seem like crazy multipliers. They're actually pretty damn decent though, considering these base stats as well. These might not seem like crazy multipliers, but the thing is, this enables your Acheron to fill her ultimate up faster. This woman is just like the Raiden Shogun, I swear, in Genshin Impact, except the fact is she's not battering your team is battering her. Debuffs battering her. So anything that has a debuff attached to it is just incredibly valuable for her. The problem is Pearl shines as a sweat, whatever the fuck that damn light cone's called, the one that inflicts puts defensive shred on everybody. She doesn't have any effect hit rate in her kit, nor does she have an incentive to build effect hit rate. So putting that light cone on her is mad weird. You're gonna have a very low chance of applying it. So it's weird. The only other light cone that can inflict the debuff on somebody is gonna be Kafka's light cone, which you're not really gonna use Kafka's light cone on her, especially because you probably have Kafka. And I think Silverwolf's light cone. Now I can't sit here and think off the top of my head how many of them do, but basically it's limited banner light cones that are for other characters. So you're kind of like, you're not forced, obviously, but you're gonna get her ultimate up much more efficient if you have this light cone, because now she's inflicting a debuff and then you're getting stat increases on top of that. And that's just something that is just, it's valuable. I'm not gonna lie to you, because there's no other light cone that's gonna do that outside of the ones I just mentioned to you. But like, I'll tell you right now, I personally was going to get her light cone if it inflicted a debuff on my damn self, because I am a massive Acheron simp. So I was gonna get this light cone regardless. I didn't care what it did. But the fact that it actually does something good, oh yeah, we're definitely picking this up. I'm gonna be an E0 S1 owner. This is just too good to pass up on. And the other cool thing about this is if you do a basic attack with her, she still inflicts a debuff. That's also something that you can't overlook as well. And when she does her ultimate, she also inflicts debuffs, but yeah, never mind, you can't do it during the Crimson Knot. But essentially, man, just know that empty bubbles is a debuff that is gonna help you get her ult up faster. So I personally think you should shoot for it if you can. If you can't, then you have your 4-star options that are on your account. I'm not gonna sit here and try and tell you what you have on your account. Good Night Sleep Well is a great alternative 4-star option that you can totally use, and it's very strong, and it's on her limited light cone banner, so you might as well try and go for the light cone anyway, right? I don't know. I'll leave that up for you guys to decide. That's pretty much all there is to talk about. There's really nothing else. These light cones, this one sucks balls. This one's a really good abundance light cone. And yeah, dude, this is a great solid option if you don't end up getting her signature light cone as well. That's going to wrap everything up. Hopefully I brought you guys some good insight with regards to Acheron's kit. Also, be sure to follow my Twitch at twitch.tv/gachasmack. I don't stream every day, but every time I stream, I do have a good plan to deliver good content to you guys. Peace, love, and happiness, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.